Welcome to the Unapologetic Man Podcast, the only podcast that's all about self-improvement, confidence, success, women, and being a man without making any apologies for it. What is up, gentlemen? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the UMP. I really do appreciate you. And let me give you a little tip if you too are going to start a podcast. Check your microphone, man, because Audacity or whatever program you're using to record your episode in is going to switch microphones on you. God, I've had that happen so many times where I record this epic episode and then I listen to it after and it like records on my MacBook speaker. So here's what you do. You tap on the microphone to make sure that it's the one that's being used, And seriously, I just about started this episode, started talking, and I'm like, hold the phone, you fucking idiot. How many times have you been blown out because Audacity switches mics on you? And I was like, like 80 times. I'm like, that's right, you idiot. So check your mic. So sure enough, man, I do the old, and it didn't register. So I realized it was recording on my MacBook microphone. So I used my 80 IQ to switch it over to my professional microphone, and here we are, man. How life just throws curveballs at you, right? There's so many things I recorded that just came out bad because of stupidity like that. But this time, I actually got it right. So gentlemen, today we're going to talk about how to finally start getting hotter and harder girls into your life. This right here is literally the biggest question I get as a dating coach. Most guys who listen, and I'm sure this is true for you too, and if it's not, that's okay. You could get better. But most guys who are listening can get girls sometimes, right? They can get laid occasionally. Maybe they get a couple a month or a couple a year. There's some semblance of girls coming into their lives, but the real question is, and the real question they always ask me is, how can I get hotter girls? Because that's really what they want. And it always seems you can only get like a certain level of hotness, right? You've probably gotten a couple of 8s or a couple of 9s or even a couple of 10s in your life, but usually it's around the same level that you typically get. And for most of you guys, it's around the same level that you are. As human beings, we tend to pair bond with people who look fairly similar to we do. And unless you radically change your game, unless you radically change your confidence in your belief systems, you're going to produce the same results over and over again. You're going to get the same caliber of women over and over again. And occasionally you'll get that outlier that's like really hot, but it's few and far between. And rarely do you choose her. Usually she chooses you. You know what? As I'm sitting here recording, I just realized I didn't silence my phone either. See, all these things, man, that try to come at you out of left field. You know what always happens too? Always, every single time I'm recording a podcast, the fucking heater kicks on. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I'm like, God, hell, I got to go up there and turn off my cell phone, make sure I'm using the right mic, make sure my cheeks are powdered and my balls are shaved so I can deliver good content for you boys. Have you guys ever seen that shirt that says, I shaved my balls for this? That's the shirt I'm wearing right now. Really, bro? I shaved my balls for you? What a waste of time. But yeah, like I said, man, life is always throwing you curveballs. So getting back to the subject at hand, getting hotter girls. Most of the time, you guys are relegated to the same girls and you want to upgrade, but you don't know how. So I'm going to give you some methods today, and no, this isn't just going to be a pitch for my coaching program, but obviously, if you want to step it up, like radically step it up, 10x, the hotness of girls you're getting and the number of girls you're getting, you got to come join us in the program. Oftentimes, when you want a radical change in your life, it requires a radical move to make yourself into that dude who girls who are highly hot are going to be attracted to. Most of the time, as I said, you guys end up with girls who are roughly your same caliber. Like if you look like a 7, you know, you're like 5'7", you got an okay face, you got a little pot belly, you're into your Dungeons and Dragons and playing video games, you're probably going to grade a girl who's a 7 who has an okay face and a pot belly too, unless you radically change yourself and radically change your game. Now, I do appreciate you listening because obviously you're trying to radically change yourself, and I want to give you some good tips here. So first of all, boys, let me ask you this. If you put 10 fishing poles in the water, don't you think you'll catch a monster eventually? And if you catch that monster eventually and you put 10 more poles in the water and now you have 20, don't you think you'll probably catch another monster? And if you got 2 monsters and you got 20 guppies, you'll have enough to throw the 20 guppies back and now you're rocking with 2 monsters. Then you can go put out 30 poles and get 3 monsters and on and on and on as a continuously updating system where by the numbers, you are getting hotter and hotter girls into your life. Now, this runs into a myriad of problems for most of you gentlemen who have approach anxiety. You don't know what to talk about. You don't know what to say. You don't want to get rejected, so you don't approach these chicks. But for those of you guys who have two balls in your fucking pants rather than a vagina, and you simply play the numbers game, by numbers alone, you can get hotter and hotter girls. Why? Because you're willing to approach anybody. And if you're approaching anybody, as I teach you guys to do, then eventually you're going to get the number and get the attraction from a girl who's really hot. Furthermore, as you approach more and more people, as you put yourself out there more and more, you get that bearing about you, you get that confidence, you get that frame that hotter girls are attracted to. So from quantity comes quality. When you approach tons of girls and shoot your shot with every single one, inevitably you're going to catch a monster. You're going to get a really hot one, and then you can quote unquote use that hot one to post pictures of you and her on your Instagram. Maybe she has hot friends that you can go out with and you take pictures with them and you post that on your Instagram. Then you see another hot girl, go chat her up, ask for the low-hanging fruit of getting her Instagram, which is oftentimes easier than getting a phone number. She sees your Instagram, you with a bunch of hot chicks, boom, you're in like Flint. So this is one way to do it, is to simply play the numbers. Now there's another way to do it, and that is to ask hot girls to take pictures with them. Now, I know a lot of you guys will be just as afraid of doing that as approaching and trying to attract a hot girl, but this is so goddamn powerful for what's called pre-selection. Pre-selection means you are pre-selected by other hot girls, so those hot girls who see those hot girls will indeed get attracted to you too. By simply putting pictures of you on your Instagram, Facebook, whatever social media channels you're on, you will generate more attraction from those girls who know you, from those girls who are following you, and you can DM them. You can ask them to hang out and get pictures with them. Boys, you can even hire girls to come out with you and take pictures with you. A lot of my clients have done this, and you don't even need to go to Model Mayhem or anything like that. If you just have some balls in your pants and you go up to a hot girl and be like, hey, listen, I'm trying to do this thing for my Instagram where I look more socially savvy. You're obviously an extremely attractive girl. How would you feel if I kicked you a couple $100, coming out with me, bring a couple of your friends. If they're hot too, I'll pay them. Like, I have no problem with that. And we'll take a myriad of pictures that I can post on my social media channels. I'm not going to ask you to get naked. I'm not going to hit on you. Although, boys, you might get some action out of this, as many of my clients have. It's just a mellow thing where we literally go out for 3 hours. Maybe you change outfits a couple times. We take several hundred pictures and you have your friend come with you and he takes pictures, or a girlfriend come with you and she takes pictures. Now you have all these pictures. You use them to put them up on your Instagram page. Now you've leveled up, because as opposed to being a woman who, when she's born with a pot belly and she's 5'2" and she has a semi-decent face, or in the situation of what's called a butter face, everything's good but her face, she can't really upgrade that much because women's looks is really important. They're kind of relegated to how they're born, as unfortunate and as shitty as that is. If a girl is born extremely attractive, she's kind of got it made in the shade. If she's born as a canyon mule, a mountain troll, a sea donkey, or a Nebraska heifer, then she's kind of stuck in that predicament unless she really works hard to get herself out of that. But contrary to that, as men, we can radically up our social status by posting it on things like Instagram, and also by working on our confidence, working on inner belief systems. And like my first tip, approaching, playing the numbers to not only eventually land a whopper on your 10th fishing pole, but also to build up your social prowess, to build up your bearing, to build up that frame that's all important. My third tip is sometimes you have to start in the minor leagues before you can get to the major leagues. Okay, it's all about building a skill set. And something I say to you guys and to my clients all the time is, listen, if a girl doesn't get attracted to you, it really doesn't say much about you. It says more about your skill set. You talked about the wrong things at the wrong times. Perhaps, yes, you showed some insecure mannerisms and you did some low-value shit that's derived of bad belief systems, but that too doesn't really say much about your self-worth. It just says that you didn't do the right things to get her attracted. So when you do what I spoke about in a recent episode, which was to lower your standards, date those 6s, date those 7s, and build a radically powerful skill set to where you can go approach now an 8 and then build your skill set with them, and then go up to 9s and build your skill set with them, and then build up to 10s. You are doing it systematically rather than waking up in the castle, as it were. A lot of you guys expect to just get fucking super hot 10s out of left field because you've listened to like 3 podcasts. It's like, come on, bro, get realistic. Are you going to get into the major leagues by skipping from high school baseball to MLB? Obviously not. You got to go into AAA, quadruple A, 16A, however the hell it works, and then you get to step into the major leagues. Do you guys ever wonder how that pitcher is able to throw perfectly precise pitches into the catcher's mitt without being nervous at all, even though there's probably like 50,000 people watching him and potentially millions more watching him on TV? It's because he systematically exposed himself to the social pressure of being watched as he's doing his craft. It's the same damn thing with chicks. When you approach a really hot girl, and I know you want one, when you approach that girl that you've been fantasizing about, what happens? Adrenaline dumps into your head and you go into what I call screensaver mode. You become a freaking douche canoe. You can't talk. You have flappy arms, loss of communication with the spinal column, gas with oily discharge, painful feet, painful hair, bad breath, and a debilitating erection that lasts at least 16 hours because you're not used to the social pressure of talking to these hot girls. So you go up and you're like, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, are you a motorboat or are you a fucking human? And she's like, get out of here, you sea donkey. And you're all blown out. So the reason that is because you haven't put the systematic social pressure on yourself to be able to endure the hotness of a 10, who's basically a major league woman. So you haven't endured that pressure. You're not used to it. So you go up and you're a jackass. But instead, if you use the same philosophy that all professional athletes use, which is, I'm systematically going to improve. I'm systematically going to get used to the pressure that's put upon me. And then when I'm in that Premier League game where there's literally thousands of fans singing your name and trying to urge you onto a goal, you can shut that shit out and just focus on what you're doing. It's the same pressure that athletes go through when you're talking to a hot girl. Your mind shuts down. You go into fight or flight mode, literally. And you go into what I call screensaver mode. Can't think, can't act correctly. You're a sea donkey. But when you've done it enough, going from AAA to AA to single A, I don't know how it works, but when you go in the minor leagues and up your game, that's when you're able to get into the major leagues. So how do you do that? You're getting 7s now. Go get more 7s. When you're dating 4 different girls, you act correctly. And when you see that 8, she's not going to be as intimidating as she used to be because you just got laid 3 times last weekend. Your dick looks like a shriveled burn victim hiding in the corner of your underwear. And he's like, don't put me back in the game, coach. I can't get back in there. And you're like, get back in there, motherfucker. We're going to go get this 8. And when you approach that 8, because you just got laid with 3 7s, you're going to be a lot more comfortable. Why? You're outcome independent. You don't care what happens. And you guys have all seen when you don't care what happens, it usually goes pretty well, doesn't it? So now you go up to the 8, yank your number. You're like, if she wants to hang out, that's fine. If she doesn't, that's fine too. Because honestly, my penis is fucking killing me, man. He's trying to hide back up into my body. That's how painful this dude is. But you text her anyway because you're practicing, and lo and behold, she goes on a date with you. Date goes pretty well, and then you bang her out. Now your standards are raised, and also, brother, and this is point number 4, you prove to your subconscious mind that you are now on an 8 level. Your life is a representation of what you expect as far as your results. So if you think that you're 7 and you've only gotten 7s, that's where your subconscious mind has relegated you. It's like the thermostat in a home. When the thermostat is set to 72, it's going to turn on every time it gets too cold in the house, just like my fucking heater does every time I do a podcast. It's going to turn on and regulate you back to where you deserve to be, quote unquote. So what happens is when you think you're a 7 magnet, that's what you are because your reality is a reflection of your expectations. But once you pull an 8, you start to realize, okay, I can get 8s now. And then once you have her, you would be wise to go get more because you have fucking 3 7s and an 8. Now you are dating 4 girls. And that's my golden rule. What would I do in this situation if I were dating 4 girls? Ask yourself that every single time. Brother, if you ever have a situation with a girl and she does some shit, just ask yourself, what would I do if I were dating 4 girls? And you will make the right decision. Yes, even with the 10. In fact, when it comes to 10s, the less you can care and the less you try, the better it works. So I want your penis to look like a World War II victim who got blown up on Normandy Beach. and he's all fucked up and he can't go back into battle, that's where I want him to be, because then he's not going to try to get into battle. And the worst thing you could do is try to get that motherfucker into battle. You don't want him in that battle because you've had too much battle over the past several weeks. That's the mentality. Now you're dating eights, okay? You're improving your skill set. You're kind of understanding how they think differently. You're understanding their language. And yes, when we're getting into high eights and nines and tens, they almost have their own language. They almost have their own reality and way of seeing things. They have their own things that they have to deal with. And when you can get into their inner circle, as it were, by building up to them, by showing pre-selection, putting pictures on your Instagram, showing that you're not intimidated by them, which is the most important point here, then you're going to get more of them. Now you got 2 8s, 3 8s. Okay, you're dialing in the 8s. Your game is getting better. You're now an 8 magnet. Now we have to prove to your subconscious mind that you're a 9 magnet. So you see a 9 as you're banging 3 8s. Your dick, he's in pain, can't go back into the fight, begs you, pleads, wraps himself around your legs to try to trip you, but you go up to that 9 anyway, bro, because you're a fucking warrior. You're a goddamn Spartan in the phalanx. No fear, never out of the fight. So you approach that chick, goes well, because you don't really care if it goes well or not. Then you take her out, and you guys may think, oh, bro, she's a 9. I got to get really dressed up and take her to a nice dinner. No, treat her like a 7. Treat her like you're dating 4 chicks. Take her to fucking tapas, take her to happy hour, make the date an hour or 2, and then tell her to kick rocks with her head down. Obviously, I'm joking. You don't want to be a dick, but that's the mentality. Like, dude, I don't need you. I want you. I want to hang out tonight, but I don't need it. And that's what happens to a lot of guys when they get thirsty. So now you're kind of dating 9s. Girls are getting hotter. Dude, when you bang your first 9, brother, let me tell you, brother to brother, warrior to warrior, friend to friend, banging your first 9. I'm talking a real 9. Like, so many of you guys are like, Mark, dude, I'm talking to this 10. And then you send me a picture and it's a canyon mule. I'm like, relax with what you give 10s to, boys. You guys are way too loose in the pocket with what you're giving 10s to, okay? Step it back. A 9 is like Maxim model fucking getting paid for her hotness, like banging, banging, banging. When you have sex with your first 9, you are going to write Uncle MarkSing an email saying, thank you for all the lessons you have taught me. And my clients, who all get to bang 9s, they all write me that email. They're like, dude, thank you so much. And actually, this is a really good time to read a quick testimonial from one of my Aussie clients who just graduated. I know, I usually do it in the beginning and get it over with, but let me flex up a little, bro. Listen, hey, I really want to tell you something. I am getting massive fucking offers for sponsors to come onto this podcast. Massive. And I'm saying no to all of them because all I expect is for you guys to let me flex up and advertise my own program to you for just a few minutes at most during each episode. So this is what my boy says. I want to leave his name out of it because he wants to be anonymous. He's still in the program and he says, big dog, I know you get a lot of these, but no doubt it doesn't get old. Dating after losing Krista was a fucking nightmare. I've dated so many amazing women, but could just never be happy for some reason. I didn't realize it, but subconsciously I thought I'd never find anyone that can make me happy ever again. After the past couple of weeks, my faith has been restored. I'm having so much fun working through all the gambits / push-pull and everything else that you teach and meeting some absolutely phenomenal women in the process, and realize it's not anyone else's job to make me happy. It's me that makes me happy. I just want to say a quick thanks. This isn't my review as there's so much more to come. Once again, I can't thank you enough. You're a dead set fucking legend is what he says. And I'm telling you boys, this guy is now pulling 9s and he never had before. And then when you do, you're so pumped on life. You're so thankful and motivated to go get 10s. And when you do get that girl in your bed, you are going to thank me because it's the best shit ever. And if you want to come into our program and get the skill set to do that as quickly and painlessly as possible, just sign up on my website, fill in the quick application, and we will get you on a free 1-hour NLP breakthrough session. All right, boys. And my last tip is I want you to take solace in the fact that it usually doesn't get worse. It usually only gets better, especially if you continue to practice and make this a central part of your life, which is getting the skill set to attract women. It just gets better and better. It's a lot like money. Once you make 10 grand a month, you probably won't go back to less than that. Once you make 20 grand a month, rarely will you go less. It just gets better and better and better. It's the same with women. So where you're at now, I want you to know that you're not going to go backwards. As long as you continue working on this stuff, you're going to continue going forwards. But the way to do it is to open as many girls as possible. Play the numbers game, right? Open 30 girls, you're going to catch at least 3 whoppers, and then you can throw back all the canyon mules and just keep the ones that actually count. So it's all about numbers, and that also will solidify your frame, solidify your bearing, make you stay out of that screensaver mode so that you can think on your feet. The second tip is to fill your social media channels with as many pictures of you with hot girls as you possibly can. Not hooking up with hot girls, but just being around them, because when you exchange Instagrams with a girl who you deem as an 8 and perhaps you deem yourself as a 7, that girl is going to think you're an 8 or even a 9 and on her level, and she will be way more likely to get attracted to you. The third tip is to get realistic. Okay, you got to go through the minor leagues first in order to get to the big leagues. You have to build the skill set. You have to go from one girl to the next. And I really suggest from quantity comes quality. And always act as if you are dating 4 girls, even if you're not. And the final tip is to take solace in the fact that most guys aren't listening to podcasts like this one. Most guys aren't trying to improve themselves in this way. So if you can do this stuff, you will differentiate yourself in such a big way from all these other sea donkeys that girls are going to start pining over you. And it's only going to get better and better and better. So keep studying this shit. Keep practicing it. If you want to join us in the program, I welcome you with open arms. If you don't, keep listening to my podcast. And for God's sakes, put yourself out there, man. Go take some risks. Every day, do something that makes your heart beat. That's one of my policies of life. Every day I want to get a little bit scared. And if that means approaching a girl who I deem as a 9 and I think I'm an 8, I'm going to go fucking do it, because that's where improvement is. And if you keep doing that, the girls are going to get harder and harder, and you're just going to upgrade until, yeah, brother, you can get a 10. I don't even need to meet you. I don't need to look at you. I guarantee you, brother to brother, man to man, that you can get a 10 if you're willing to do those things that I tell you to do. Face your fears, put yourself out there, play the numbers, use that gray matter between your 2 ears to leverage your social media channels by posting pictures of you with hot girls, and it's over. You will get more ass than a toilet seat, and yes, your penis will look like a shriveled burn victim hiding in the corner of your underwear. Gentlemen, I do appreciate you listening to my podcast. If you found this useful, I'd very much appreciate a review. Email me at CoachMarkSing@gmail.com and I will send you a bunch of cool shit. Also, as I always talk about, I don't take sponsors on this program, although they were starting to offer me a shit ton of money. I'm kind of like, damn, dude, you'd pay me that much? What a compliment. Instead, I only advertise to you that which I fully believe in, that which is my life purpose, and that is my 3-month coaching program. I am here to turn guys like you into bona fide girl magnets, and I do it again and again and again. So if you want to be that guy, if you want me to get my hands on you and turn you into that dude, I would love to meet with you. It's a no pressure meet and greet with my boy Victor Lynch, my fucking wingman, an absolute champion of the highest regard. And we will only accept you into the program if we're absolutely sure we can 10x your results. So to meet with us, click the link in the description below, fill in the quick application. You and I will email back and forth a little bit, and you will get on that free one-on-one breakthrough session with my wingman, Victor Lynch. I drop podcasts on Mondays and Thursdays, so please stay tuned for the next one, and I will see you in the next episode.